Jesus didn't say, ignore your enemies. He didn't say, keep your distance. He didn't even say, be polite. He said, love them. Not tolerate, not fake a smile. Love. It sounds impossible, right? But maybe that's the point. Because when you love someone who tried to break you, when you bless someone who cursed you, you're not losing. You're winning in a way the world can't understand. This is how heaven wins. Let's talk about it. Why this message matters right now. Let's be real. We've all been hurt by someone, betrayed, disrespected, used, and the first instinct, get even, cut them off, protect yourself at any cost. But Jesus, he said something that turns everything upside down. Love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. That's not soft. That's not weak. That's holy resistance. Because anyone can curse their enemy. Anyone can stay bitter. But it takes a different kind of power to love in return. In this video, you'll learn how to love without losing your boundaries, how to forgive even if they never apologize, and how to live free from hate, from revenge, from the past. This isn't just a moral idea. This is spiritual strategy, and it will change the way you handle everything. Let's get into it. 1. Don't mirror evil. Break the pattern. Let's start with what feels most natural. When someone hurts you, you want to hurt them back. You want them to feel what you felt. You want to say what you held back. You want justice, and you want it now. And honestly, that's human. It makes sense. But Jesus didn't come to reinforce your instincts. He came to redeem them. Do not repay evil with evil. Overcome evil with good. That sounds nice on paper. But what does that actually look like? It looks like this. You get insulted, and instead of snapping back, you pause. You get excluded, and instead of gossiping, you stay silent. You're disrespected, and instead of plotting revenge, you let it go. Why? Because the moment you mirror evil, you let someone else set your standard. You hand them the remote control to your character. You let their darkness dim your light, and the cycle just keeps spinning. Hurt people, until someone, you, chooses to break the pattern. Jesus didn't just tell us to love enemies to sound holy. He told us because it's the only way to stop the virus of hate from spreading further. And let's be real. There is power in restraint. There is power in walking away. There is power in looking at the enemy and choosing peace anyway. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you free. You are not a mirror. You are not here to reflect what's been done to you. You're here to reflect heaven. So the next time someone tries to pull you into their chaos, remember, you don't fight fire with fire. You fight it with water, with wisdom, with quiet strength that doesn't need to shout to win. But now comes the part where it gets personal. Because what if the person who hurt you isn't just someone out there? What if they're close? Family, friend, even someone you trusted deeply? How do you love that person without letting them hurt you again? Let's talk boundaries. Let's talk wisdom. Let's talk about love that doesn't look like surrender. 2. Love is not trust. Boundaries are biblical. Forgiveness is free. Access is not. Let's clear up one of the biggest misunderstandings in the church. Loving your enemy does not mean trusting them again. Jesus never asked you to hand your heart back to someone who crushed it. He never asked you to smile through manipulation or sit at the same table with betrayal. Let's say it plainly. Forgiveness is commanded. Trust is earned. Reconciliation is optional. Joseph understood this. He forgave his brothers, yes. But before he embraced them, he tested their hearts. He observed their behavior. He created distance until it was safe. Why? because forgiveness restored his heart, but boundaries protected his future. And yet today, so many people feel guilty for doing the same. You set up a healthy boundary, and suddenly people say, "That's not very Christian of you." But that's not biblical. That's manipulation. Even Jesus, the embodiment of love, walked away from toxic crowds. He withdrew. He didn't chase after every Pharisee. He didn't entrust himself to everyone who smiled in public but plotted in private. Jesus did not entrust himself to them, for he knew what was in their hearts. So why do we? Why do we confuse being holy with being emotionally available to people who refuse to change? Love says, "I release you from my judgment." Wisdom says, "But I won't give you the same access you once had." That's not bitterness. That's stewardship. You're not here to be a doormat. You're not called to be reckless with your soul. You can love deeply and still say no to drama. You can forgive fully and still block a number. You can carry grace and still close a door. So don't let guilt manipulate your boundaries. Don't let culture confuse love with codependency. Love protects. Love tells the truth. And sometimes, love walks away. But even when you've drawn the line, even when you've walked away in peace, there's one thing still living inside: the ache, the memory, the weight of what they did. And that's where the deeper healing begins. Let's talk about forgiveness, the kind that breaks chains. 3. Forgiveness sets you free, not them. Let's talk about what forgiveness really is. Because a lot of us grew up thinking that to forgive means to forget, to move on, to pretend it didn't happen, to act like it didn't hurt. But that's not forgiveness. That's emotional denial, and it only pushes the poison deeper. Forgiveness isn't pretending it didn't matter. Forgiveness is deciding, it doesn't get to control me anymore. You see, holding on to anger feels powerful at first. You feel justified. You feel like you're protecting yourself. But over time, that anger becomes something else. It becomes bitterness. And bitterness doesn't just poison your relationship with that person. It starts leaking into everything else: your sleep, your peace, your joy, your faith. You walk into new seasons carrying old wounds. And suddenly, the person who hurt you once keeps hurting you through the pain you refuse to release. That's why forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's not a reward for their behavior. It's not saying what they did was okay. It's saying, "I won't stay chained to what you did. I deserve freedom, even if you never say sorry." And yes, forgiveness is a process. Sometimes it takes days. Sometimes it takes years. But you can start today. Here's one way. Write their name. Write what they did. And speak this out loud. "I release you. I forgive you. I choose peace over pain. You don't get to live in my head or heart anymore." You don't have to feel it right away. Just say it. Every day, if you have to. Because your soul hears what your mouth speaks. And freedom follows faith. But here's what's wild. Forgiveness isn't just about healing you. It's also about disarming something much bigger. Because when you love someone who doesn't deserve it, you're not just showing grace. You're making war in the spirit. Let's talk about that. 4. Radical grace is spiritual warfare. When you forgive, hell loses ground. There's a reason Jesus didn't just say, "Be kind." He didn't say, "Be civil." He said something far more disruptive. Love your enemies. Why? Because love in the face of hatred doesn't just soften hearts. It breaks strongholds. You need to understand this. Every time you bless someone who curses you, every time you forgive someone who never said, "I'm sorry," every time you respond with grace instead of revenge, you're not being passive. You're waging war. Spiritual war. Because forgiveness isn't just for your healing. It's for your victory. See, the enemy doesn't always come through obvious attacks. Sometimes he comes through wounds, through betrayal, through words that were never taken back, through people you trusted, who failed you. And if he can't destroy you from the outside, he'll try to poison you from the inside. Bitterness, unforgiveness, silent rage. These are spiritual landmines. And if you don't deal with them, they'll blow up your joy, your peace, your purpose. But when you choose radical grace, you're saying, I see what hell is trying to do, and I'm not playing along. That's when chains break. Not just in you, but around you. Because grace isn't weakness. Grace is a weapon. That's why the devil hates it. He thrives on cycles of offense and retaliation. But the moment you love when hate is expected, the script flips. The power shifts. The kingdom advances. You're not ignoring what happened. You're just choosing not to let it rule you. So next time you're face to face with someone who hurt you, and everything in you wants to snap, curse, or cut them off, remember this: you don't have to scream to win. You don't have to get even to be strong. Sometimes the loudest spiritual victory is loving in silence and letting heaven do the talking. So now you've seen the strategy, you've heard the call, but the real question is, can you live this? Let's bring it home. Win the war. No one sees. Let's bring it all together. Loving your enemies? It's not easy. It's not natural. And some days, it won't even feel fair. But Jesus never called you to what's easy. He called you to what's eternal. And here's what we've learned today. You don't have to mirror evil. You can break the pattern. Love doesn't mean access. You can forgive and still set boundaries. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's release. And radical grace? It's not passive. It's spiritual warfare. And you were born to fight this way. So maybe today is the day you stop waiting for an apology. Stop rehearsing what they did. Stop letting pain play on repeat in your mind. And you say, no more. I release it. I forgive. I choose love, not because they deserve it, but because Christ lives in me. That's the moment you start to win the war no one else sees. If this message hits something deep in your soul, don't let it stop here. Share this with someone who's carrying silent pain. Pray through it. And maybe watch it again when your heart starts to harden. Because in the next video, we're talking about how Jesus handled betrayal, not from enemies, but from friends, and how you can too. See you there. And until then, choose love. Fight different. Forgive anyway.